Hi there. I haven't put an encouragement out for quite a while, and I just wanted to share some thoughts that I've been having around 2024 and just how God's been working in some of us, many of us, and really just a way of helping you to lean into what God may have been doing for you and in you in 2024, to lean in, to understand it a bit more, and to get hope and encouragement for 2025. So, look, there's three areas that I've been pondering that God's been really working on in me personally, but also that I've seen God working on in so many of the people around me that I coach, them that I'm in touch with. The first area is trust. And, I feel like as a Christian, sometimes when people say, oh, God's helping us to trust him more, it's a bit of a cliche, and it's true. That's why cliches are cliches, right? But also, what I've realized is, and what God's shown me, is that there's very specific areas of trust that he's been working on in me for this year, and also some of the areas in previous years to 2024. And I didn't realize until late through this year that these specific areas have been areas that he's been really, really working on. And sometimes we can say, oh, yeah, I trust God, and we do trust God, but there's specific areas that maybe we don't even know that our trust needs some to be grown in. And the way, of course, that we get to know that these areas need to be grown in is when circumstances happen and they get tested. So I just wanted to encourage you to lean into God, lean into thinking about your year and what are the specific areas of trust that God's been growing in you during 2024. So, look, I'm probably going to do a separate encouragement on this. I can think of at least 8 areas where I've had to really, really grow my trust and be disciplined about it, and to really change my thinking and to really grow my faith in God. And in some of the areas, most of the areas, to be honest, a question of giving up on my own abilities, giving up on my own achievements, and learning what true trust is when you feel like, you can't do it anymore. And I know a lot of people, a lot of you are in circumstances where you feel like God's got to be the one that actually sorts it out. And that's when the trust in God comes into its most, shall we say, where you need it 100%, right? Look, it could be in areas of provision, of timing, of process. Sometimes we think, yeah, we trust God, God's timing, but actually that's also linked to God's process of how he gets to us to wherever it is we're longing for the breakthrough. So timing and process, it could be for things that you've been waiting for a very long time, which you've had trust in the past, but obviously as the years go on, it gets harder to hold that trust and hold that hope, even though, you feel like nothing's changed. But, same as Joseph's journey, right? He had to wait a long, long time till the fruition of the words that God had told him. There's areas of there's other areas of health, trusting God with the future, trusting God, things we may have learned in the past about our identity, the words over our life, our purpose. These could be specific areas of trust that God's been growing in you this year, or maybe even for longer. I'm sure for longer, but that's something that is really helpful to lean into and ask him specifically in whichever areas of trust you feel, yeah, God's definitely been testing my trust, growing my trust in him, is to think of the specific areas of where he has been doing that and ask him to show you. Very encouraging, because then you think, oh, okay, yeah, I needed that. And it kind of helps you to make sense of the preparation and why he's doing it, for taking you into the promises that he has for you. Look, the second thing that I found that's been a theme this year, for myself, and I'm sure for others, has been God's been taking me back to old familiar truths and revelations. And by this I mean, like, some of the books that I felt led to read this year are ones that I read like 30 years ago, or that were written before I was born. And they've been incredible and really profound. There's something about things that God showed you, like maybe 20 years, 30 years ago, or things that were revealed many, many years ago that are right for you sometimes in a certain season. So I've read a couple of books. I might share on a different update, why they really helped me, because I've recommended them to some people and they've really been helped too. But it's not that the truths and the revelation and the healing and the progress that I made 30 years ago is no longer there. It was again just a particular area that I needed to apply it to that was new for this season in my life. So sometimes when we go back to an old truth or an old revelation, or maybe habits that we've already conquered, and God leads you to look at it again, or read a book, or listen to some resources, it's because there's a new challenge, there's a new area in your life that's come up, and actually that old truth is a really great thing to look at again through different lenses, through being older, through having a different circumstance, and through a lot of other stuff that God's shown you and wisdom that's grown in you. And it's actually a shortcut to help you in many situations. And I think too often we dismiss things because we're like, oh yeah, been there, done that, I've got that one sorted. But actually, we haven't got it 100% sorted, and we haven't got it sorted in the season we're in the areas that we're struggling, and where God's trying to actually expand our of the fullness of who we are, and the fullness of walking in godliness, wisdom, and in relationship with Him. So encourage you to think about old truths, old revelations. That might be old books you read, that, as I'm talking, I'm sure it's coming to mind to some of you, of things, oh yeah, that book I read then would be really good for now. And maybe it's been happening for some of you as well, that you've been going back to some old things that really helped you previously. The last one, I'm going to call it confidence. It's kind of related to number one, trust. But let's think of it as there's so many people around me in the church gathering that we meet in our the circles that I talk to, a lot of Christians who are feeling like their confidence is gone, or they might even describe it as a kind of a dark night of the soul, or there's just something where they're finding it really, really hard to hold hope in that area, and they're questioning, well, what actually is my meaning? What's my purpose? What's it all about? And what's happening? And like that feeling of just feeling a bit lost, and confidence going in areas maybe that in the past you've had confidence in. I've been going through this in certain areas of my work, and my, trusting my own skills, for example. I know people that have had issues with relationships, and people around them where things have just suddenly got a bit weird, and they don't understand why. And it's from the places where they least expect, maybe. It could be that that God's kind of brought you back to operating in an area maybe that you operated in many years ago. He's good at that. There's so many things in life where we sort of move on, and then later on in life they come back full circle. So it could be that, and where you just don't feel the same level of confidence. But I just want to encourage you in that as well. I think it's all linked to Him growing our trust, yes, on a simplistic level, but it's also that trust in specific areas. But it's also about really helping us to push into relationship with Him further. And it's usually in the times when we are being stretched in some way, when things feel challenging, that we do go to God, and lean on Him more, and spend more time with Him, and learn to knit that relationship closer together, and to take it deeper. And that's, again, a massive preparation for all of us for what He's got coming, because it's like some areas become so familiar for us, and we're so confident in them, and we operate in it so easily, that we forget, if you like, to bring God into those areas. We forget to be in relationship with Him in those areas. And we're missing out on so much because God can add so much, and He wants to be a part of our everyday. He wants to be a part of our work. He wants to be a part of all the areas that we operate in. He wants to kind of co-partner with us, co-create with us, co-labor with us. So I feel like in a way, some of what's happened is he's just lifted a bit of grace off just for a season, just for a time, so that we dig in deeper to connect with him. And the confidence that comes back after this feels very different because it's not the same confidence as we had before. So in a way, our confidence is being upgraded. It's being upgraded because it's like we end up surrendering on a deeper level to God, and we realize again afresh how dependent we are on him, and we want to be in that place. So it's like we get a confidence that's more sort of in him and what he's put in us as well. But it's like a sort of an upgraded confidence. Okay, so those are the three areas I wanted to just speak about that I really notice have been themes for this year. Number one, really growing very specific areas of trust in each of us. For each of us, areas of trust that have needed to be grown, and it's all preparation for where he's taking us and for the bigger things that we may have dreamed about and asked him about, and the visions that he's given us, or the words over our lives. So specific areas of trust. Number two, going back to familiar truths, revelations, getting deeper insight into those, and learning to apply them further. That's another theme. And number three, growing our confidence, again, in specific areas, and helping us to shed the confidence that was maybe based on our own abilities, and to really get a pure confidence that's in him and us working together. I hope that's encouraging. Please do comment if any of those areas really relate to your situation, so that we can encourage each other and lean into what hope that gives us for the kind of preparation God's been taking us through this year, ready for all that he has for us in 2025. Bless you.